Max was not like the other dogs of the animal shelter. Calm, gentle, and patient, he had a quiet presence that seemed to comfort those around him. The golden retriever's soft eyes and slow, deliberate movements made him a favorite among the volunteers. But lately, something unusual had started to happen, something that caught everyone's attention. In the corner of the shelter's small cat room sat Luna, a tiny gray kitten no bigger than Max's paw. Luna was fragile and scared, and she cried softly but constantly. Her little meows echoed through the shelter, tugging at the hearts of everyone who heard them. She seemed lost in the world, trembling and alone. Despite the usual busy noise and bustling animals, her cries never stopped. What surprised the shelter staff the most was Max's reaction. Instead of ignoring the kitten or becoming restless like some dogs did around cats, Max did something no one expected. He sat beside Luna and gently wrapped his front legs around her small body, hugging her as if he could shield her from the world. At first, the volunteers thought Max's behavior was just a sweet, random act of kindness. But day after day, Max wouldn't leave Luna's side. He stayed close, his body pressed gently against hers, his eyes filled with a mixture of calm and concern. Whenever Luna let out a soft whimper, Max's head would lower, and he would nuzzle her softly as if saying, "I'm here. You're safe now." The shelter workers started to notice that Luna seemed to quiet down when Max was hugging her. Her crying became less frequent, replaced by quiet purrs and a sense of comfort. Max's protective behavior was no longer just a charming quirk. It was a powerful bond forming between two very different animals, each healing in their own way. People passing by the shelter often paused to watch the unlikely pair. "It's amazing," one volunteer said. "I've never seen a dog so patient and gentle with a kitten before." Others agreed, some even joking that Max had taken on the role of Luna's guardian angel. But beneath the surface of this heartwarming scene was a deeper mystery. Why did Max feel such a strong need to comfort Luna? What was it about this tiny, scared kitten that made him hold her close as if his own life depended on it? The staff didn't know the answer yet, but they could feel the weight of something profound happening between the two. Max's hugs were more than just a gesture. They were a silent promise. A promise to protect, to comfort, and to never let Luna face her fears alone. In a world that had been harsh to both of them, this small connection was a lifeline neither expected to find. As the days passed, more volunteers began to visit the cat room just to witness the gentle hug that brought so much peace. Max and Luna had become the shelter's quiet miracle, a symbol of hope and healing that touched the hearts of everyone who saw them. And though no one understood the full story behind their bond yet, one thing was clear: Max wasn't going anywhere, and neither was Luna's need for the comfort only he could provide. The shelter buzzed with activity every day, but no matter how busy the volunteers were, Max and Luna always drew their attention. The sight of the large golden retriever gently hugging the tiny gray kitten had become impossible to ignore. It was a scene that touched everyone's heart, but also sparked a quiet curiosity. Many of the shelter workers began to wonder why Max seemed so determined to stay by Luna's side. Other dogs would play, bark, or nap, but Max was different. He never once left the little kitten's corner, and his gentle hugs never stopped. When Luna's small meows filled the air, Max's eyes darkened with concern, and he would lean in closer, pressing his warm body around her. Volunteers whispered among themselves, "Have you ever seen anything like this?" One asked during a break, "Why does Max care so much about her?" Another replied, "It's like he understands her pain somehow." The mystery of their bond became the topic of quiet conversation throughout the shelter. Every time someone entered the cat room, they stopped to watch. Max's unwavering devotion was unlike anything they had seen before. He was patient even when Luna was restless, and he never showed a hint of annoyance when she cried out. One afternoon, Sarah, a volunteer who had been caring for Luna, noticed something else. "She seems to calm down the moment Max holds her," she said softly to another worker. "Like his hugs actually make the pain go away, even if just for a little while." As Sarah spoke, Max gently wrapped his paws around Luna again, pulling her closer. The kitten nestled into his fur, her small body relaxing. It was a silent exchange between two souls, a quiet promise that they would face the world together. The shelter staff began to look more closely into Luna's condition. They knew she had been found abandoned and weak, but no one had yet understood why she was so fragile. The vet's appointment was scheduled, and everyone hoped answers would come soon. Meanwhile, Max's behavior became even more protective. One day, when a new dog was brought into the shelter and barked loudly near the cat room, Max immediately stood guard. His body stiffened, and he growled softly to warn the newcomer away from Luna. The shelter workers exchanged knowing looks. Max was serious about keeping her safe. As days passed, more volunteers gathered around Max and Luna, drawn by the strength of their connection. Some brought blankets to keep the kitten warm. Others whispered soothing words. Max's hugs were like a shield, guarding Luna from the cold, the fear, and the loneliness she had known for so long. But despite the shelter's care, Luna's cries still came, though less often. The pain inside her was still there, hidden beneath her fragile frame. Max's embrace was a comfort, but it was clear she needed more help. Everyone waited anxiously for the vet's visit, hoping it would explain Luna's suffering and perhaps reveal why Max's hugs seemed so vital. The mystery of the golden retriever and the crying kitten was far from solved, and the shelter held its breath for the answers that would change everything. Luna's tiny cries had always tugged at the hearts of the shelter staff, but no one truly understood the depth of her pain until a volunteer named Emma took a closer interest in the kitten's story. Emma was new to the shelter but had a keen eye for details and a heart full of compassion. She decided to learn everything she could about Luna's past. One chilly morning, Emma sat down with the shelter manager, hoping to uncover any information about the kitten's history. The manager sighed softly, then shared what was known. Luna was found abandoned on the edge of town, the manager explained. A passerby heard her crying near a busy road, barely visible in the tall grass. She was shivering, starving, and far too young to be on her own. Emma's heart sank as she listened. It was clear Luna's start in life had been anything but gentle. The kitten's soft cries weren't just because she was scared. They were cries of pain and loneliness. Further investigation revealed Luna had likely been separated from her mother far too early. Without her mother's warmth and protection, she had faced the world alone, vulnerable and frightened. Her small body showed signs of neglect. She was thin, her fur patchy, and her movements weak. Emma gently reached out to pet Luna, who responded with a tiny, trembling purr. The kitten's fragile trust was just beginning to grow, and Emma hoped to help her heal, but she knew it would take time. Back in the shelter, Max never left Luna's side. His hugs seemed to carry more meaning now. They weren't just comforting gestures, but a bridge between two broken souls. The volunteers began to see that Max's care for Luna was more than instinct. It was a response to her deep suffering. Emma started to spend extra time with Luna, carefully feeding her nourishing meals and offering soft blankets to keep her warm. Slowly, the kitten began to trust the humans around her, but she still leaned on Max the most. One afternoon, while Emma was cleaning Luna's small enclosure, Max stood guard nearby. His eyes followed every movement, his body tense but calm. The golden retriever's presence was a constant reassurance to Luna, a reminder she wasn't alone. Emma often wondered how Max seemed to understand Luna's pain so well. She spoke with the shelter manager again, hoping for answers. Max's story might explain it, the manager said quietly. He wasn't always as calm as he is now. The manager shared that Max had once been a proud father. He had puppies of his own, but tragedy struck when the litter became sick and didn't survive. The heartbreak changed Max. He became quieter, more gentle, almost as if searching for another soul to protect. Emma realized something powerful. Max's deep empathy might come from his own loss. The golden retriever's hugs weren't just comfort for Luna. They were a way for him to heal too. As Luna's past became clearer, so did the reasons behind the bond that had formed between the two animals. Both had suffered, both were vulnerable, and both found in each other a reason to hope. The shelter team prepared for Luna's upcoming vet visit, knowing the answers they sought would help guide her recovery. Meanwhile, Max stayed close, his hugs as steady as ever, a silent promise that no matter what came next, Luna would never face the world alone again. The shelter was quiet that morning, the usual hustle slowed by the soft light filtering through the windows. Max lay near Luna's enclosure, his body still but alert, his amber eyes watching the small kitten as she rested. To most, Max was simply a gentle giant, but beneath his calm exterior was a story of loss that few had heard. The shelter manager, Mr. Collins, sat down with Emma to share Max's past. His voice was low, filled with a tenderness that matched the sadness in his eyes. Max wasn't always like this, Mr. Collins began. He used to be full of energy, playful and proud. But everything changed the day he lost his puppies. Emma listened closely, her heart aching. "What happened?" she asked softly. "Max's litter got sick very quickly," Mr. Collins explained. "Despite the vet's best efforts, they didn't make it. Max was devastated. After that, he stopped playing, stopped barking like he used to. It was like a part of him died with them." Emma could almost see it, the once joyful dog now carrying a heavy burden of grief. She looked over at Max, who lifted his head and gave a small, gentle sigh, as if he understood the words spoken about him. "That heartbreak left a mark on him," Mr. Collins continued. "But it also made him who he is now, quiet, patient, and deeply compassionate. He's been waiting for something or someone to care for." And then Luna arrived. Emma thought about the way Max hugged Luna, his paws wrapped protectively around the fragile kitten. It was more than just comfort. It was love born from loss. Max wasn't just protecting Luna. He was healing through her, and she through him. The shelter workers often said Max seemed to understand pain in a way no other dog did. Now, Emma knew why. His own heartbreak had opened his heart wider than most could imagine. That afternoon, Emma watched as Max gently laid down beside Luna. The kitten curled into him, her soft purring a sign of trust and peace. Max's body rose and fell slowly with steady breaths, as if they were both sharing a quiet healing moment. "Maybe that's why Max won't leave her," Emma whispered to herself. "Because they both know what it means to be lost." Mr. Collins nodded when Emma told him her thoughts. "You might be right. Sometimes animals feel things we can't explain. They connect in ways we don't understand, but are very real." The story of Max's heartbreak added a new layer of meaning to his actions. It wasn't just kindness, it was empathy, born from his own pain. This made his hugs for Luna even more powerful, a bond of two souls finding solace in each other. As the sun set that evening, the shelter seemed to hold its breath in quiet hope. Max and Luna lay close together, two broken hearts slowly mending with every gentle hug and soft purr. Emma knew the next steps were important. Luna's vet appointment was coming, and she hoped the vet could uncover what was truly troubling the tiny kitten. But no matter the outcome, Max's steady presence was a promise Luna would never be alone again. Their story was no longer just about survival. It was about love, loss, and the healing power found in the most unexpected places. The day of Luna's vet appointment arrived, bringing with it a mix of hope and nervous anticipation. The shelter staff gathered around as Max and Luna were gently placed into a carrier, Max staying unusually calm, as if he knew something important was about to happen. Emma carried the tiny kitten carefully, while Max followed quietly beside her, his eyes never leaving Luna's small, trembling form. At the veterinary clinic, the atmosphere was calm but serious. The vet, Dr. Reynolds, greeted them with a warm smile, but her eyes quickly focused on Luna. She could hear the kitten's soft cries even before seeing her, a signal that the little feline was in discomfort. Dr. Reynolds carefully examined Luna from head to paw. She checked for signs of injury, illness, and anything unusual. As she gently palpated the kitten's body, her expression grew more concerned. "There's something here," Dr. Reynolds said quietly. "Luna has an old injury that wasn't noticed before, a small fracture in her leg. It's causing her pain and likely explains the constant crying." Emma's heart sank, but she also felt relief. Finally, there was a clear reason for Luna's suffering. Max, who had been quietly sitting nearby, suddenly moved closer to Luna. He rested his head gently on the carrier's edge, looking up at the vet with eyes full of understanding, as if telling her, she's been hurting for so long. Dr. Reynolds smiled softly at Mac's behavior. He knows, she said. Animals can sense pain and suffering in ways we sometimes miss. The vet explained the treatment plan. Luna would need rest, pain medication, and gentle care to help her heal. It would take time, but with the right support, she could recover fully. As Luna was carefully placed back into the carrier, Max pressed his nose to the door, his presence calm and reassuring. The shelter staff returned with hope, but they also knew the road ahead would require patience. Back at the shelter, Max's protective instincts intensified. He stayed closer than ever, wrapping his paws around Luna like a shield. His hugs weren't just comfort now, they were a part of her healing process. Volunteers watched in awe as Max seemed to intuitively understand Luna's needs. When she was restless, he gently nudged her. When she was still, he kept his embrace steady, never letting her feel alone. The bond between them deepened in a way that touched everyone around. It was clear that Max's hugs were helping Luna not just emotionally, but physically too. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Dr. Reynolds visited the shelter for a follow-up check. She observed Max and Luna quietly, and then turned to the volunteers with tears in her eyes. Watching these two, she said softly, I see more than just an injured kitten and a loyal dog. I see hope, healing, and a reminder that sometimes love is the most powerful medicine of all. The shelter team nodded in agreement, their hearts full. Max and Luna's story was no longer just about pain and loss. It was about the extraordinary ways animals can help each other heal. As Luna's legs slowly began to mend, so did her spirit, thanks to Max's unwavering hugs and the care of everyone who believed in their special bond. As days turned into weeks, Luna's condition slowly improved. The small fracture in her leg began to heal, thanks to the vet's careful treatment and the tender care from the shelter staff. But even more remarkable than her physical recovery was the emotional transformation unfolding before everyone's eyes. Max remained Luna's steadfast guardian. His hugs, once a source of comfort, became a daily ritual that brought peace to the frightened kitten. No matter where Luna was in the shelter, Max was never far away. If she struggled to take a few tentative steps, Max would gently encourage her, his eyes filled with quiet patience. If she whimpered from pain or fear, he would immediately be there to wrap his paws around her, soothing her with the warmth of his body. The volunteers often remarked on the extraordinary connection between the two. It's like they're healing each other, one said, watching Max carefully lean over to nuzzle Luna. Another added, they've both been through so much, but together, they're becoming stronger. Emma, who had grown especially close to both animals, saw how Luna's confidence was blossoming. The kitten, once shy and trembling, now began to explore her surroundings with cautious curiosity. She would bat at toys and chase after small balls of yarn, her playful spirit slowly returning. But through it all, Luna never strayed far from Max's side. His hugs were more than just protection. They were a source of courage. Whenever she hesitated, Max's presence gave her the strength to try again. One afternoon, as the shelter bathed in golden sunlight, a group of volunteers gathered near Luna's enclosure. Max sat beside her, his body curled protectively. Luna purred softly, leaning into his embrace. The moment felt like a quiet celebration of resilience and hope. Mr. Collins, the shelter manager, joined the group. This bond is something truly special, he said, his voice filled with admiration. They're teaching us all about the power of love and healing. The shelter's story about Max and Luna soon spread beyond its walls. Local news outlets picked up the tale of the dog who wouldn't stop hugging the crying kitten. The story touched hearts everywhere, inspiring people to believe in kindness and second chances. Visitors came to see the pair, bringing gifts and words of encouragement. The shelter, once just a place of care, became a symbol of hope thanks to the unlikely friendship of a dog and a kitten. For Max and Luna, life was no longer just about surviving, it was about thriving. Their shared journey from pain to healing was a reminder that sometimes the deepest wounds could be mended through connection and love. As Luna's leg grew stronger and her cries faded into soft purrs, Max never stopped hugging her. Each embrace was a promise. No matter what the future held, they would face it together, side by side. And in the quiet moments when the shelter was still, the bond between Max and Luna spoke louder than words, a testament to the healing power found in the gentlest of hugs. The days after Luna's treatment began were filled with quiet hope, but it was during a routine follow-up visit that everything truly came into focus. Dr. Reynolds arrived at the shelter, eager to see the progress of her two special patients, Luna, the fragile kitten, and Max, her unwavering guardian. The vet entered the cat room just as Max was curled around Luna, his body warm and protective. The sight was so tender that it caused an unexpected rush of emotion to well up inside her. She watched silently, taking in the scene of a large golden retriever gently cradling a tiny kitten who no longer cried but purred softly in his embrace. Dr. Reynolds knelt quietly beside them, careful not to disturb the moment. She reached out to gently stroke Luna's fur, while Max rested his head on her hand, his eyes full of trust. The connection between the two was undeniable, and it moved the vet deeply. After a few minutes, Dr. Reynolds gathered the shelter staff and volunteers for a quiet conversation. Her voice was soft but filled with emotion. "I've seen many cases of animals bonding in difficult circumstances," she began, "but what I'm witnessing here goes beyond simple companionship. Max and Luna have formed a bond born from shared pain and healing. It's as if Max understands Luna's suffering on a level we might never fully grasp." The vet paused, swallowing hard as tears began to gather in her eyes. Max lost his puppies and Luna was abandoned and injured. Both have carried deep wounds, and now through their bond, they are healing not just physically but emotionally. Volunteers wiped away tears, touched by Dr. Reynolds' heartfelt words. Emma stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. "I think Max's hugs do more than comfort Luna. They give her courage to face each day. And Luna's presence helps Max heal from his own loss." Dr. Reynolds nodded. "Exactly. The love and empathy they share is a powerful reminder of the healing strength found in connection. It's a lesson we can all learn from." The vet then examined Luna once more, confirming her recovery was progressing well, but more important than the medical report was the profound impact their story had on everyone present. As Dr. Reynolds prepared to leave, she turned to Max and Luna one last time. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've both taught me something I won't forget." That evening, the shelter was quiet, but the atmosphere was filled with a renewed sense of hope. Max and Luna lay together as usual, their bond stronger than ever. Their story, now shared with the world, inspired many to look beyond the surface and see the quiet miracles happening every day. It reminded people that even in the darkest moments, love and compassion could light the way. Max's gentle hugs and Luna's soft purrs were no longer just a comfort to each other. They were a symbol of resilience, hope, and the unbreakable power of kindness. And as the shelter staff watched them that night, they knew this was only the beginning of a journey filled with love, healing, and endless possibility. The days that followed were filled with quiet joy and hopeful anticipation. Luna's leg was healing well, and her once constant cries had been replaced with soft purrs and playful chirps. Max remained her faithful guardian, his hugs now a symbol of strength and safety rather than comfort from pain. The shelter had grown more than just a home for the two animals. It had become a place of healing for all who cared for them. Volunteers spoke often about the magic they witnessed between Max and Luna, and the story had touched countless hearts in the community. One bright morning, the shelter held a small celebration to mark Luna's progress and honor the special bond between her and Max. Friends, volunteers, and local supporters gathered, bringing treats and toys for the animals. The room was filled with laughter, warmth, and a sense of hope that seemed to wrap around everyone like a comforting hug. Emma looked on as Max gently nudged Luna, encouraging her to play with a small ball. The kitten's eyes sparkled with curiosity and joy, a far cry from the frightened cries of weeks before. It was a moment that showed just how far they had come. Mr. Collins, the shelter manager, took a moment to speak. Max and Luna have taught us all a powerful lesson, he said, his voice steady and proud. They've shown us that love can heal wounds we didn't even know existed, and that hope can grow in the most unexpected places. As the crowd applauded, a local family approached the shelter staff. They had been following Max and Luna's story and wanted to offer a forever home, a place where the two could continue to heal together, surrounded by love. Emma watched as Max and Luna were gently introduced to their new family. Max wagged his tail softly, his eyes calm and trusting. Luna nestled close to him, her tiny body relaxed and confident. The moment was bittersweet. The shelter had been their safe haven, but now it was time for a new chapter, a life filled with warmth, safety, and endless possibilities. Before they left, Emma knelt beside Max and Luna, whispering, "You're going to be okay. You've already come so far." Max gave a soft bark, as if to say, "Thank you," while Luna purred in response. As the two animals walked out the door together, side by side, the shelter staff knew their journey had only just begun. Their story of loss, love, and healing would inspire others for years to come. In a quiet corner of the shelter, an empty space remained, a reminder of the powerful bond that had changed everything. But the legacy of Max's hugs and Luna's courage lived on in every heart that had witnessed their journey. And somewhere out there, in a new home filled with love, Max continued to hug Luna, not to soothe pain, but to celebrate a new beginning built on hope, trust, and the unbreakable bond between a dog and a kitten.